Good morning. We are Finals Team 6, and before we begin, we want to say it's been a pleasure for us to work with Oui Croissant on penetration testing your systems. Before we begin, we want to introduce our team briefly. We have first Bryce, our web specialist, Dylan, our lead penetration tester, Fred, our Linux engineer, Nathan, our Active Directory specialist, his lead, Parker, our Windows specialist, and my name is Caleb. I'm the project manager for our team. Today we're going to cover 4 brief points. Personal and executive summary of our findings. Second, our methodology conducted. Third, some key weaknesses and security flaws we discovered. And lastly, some recommendations for Oui Croissant. We're handing off to Fred.
Thank you, Caleb. So I'm going to walk us through an overview of our engagement. Now, Oui Croissant hired us to test the infrastructure hosting its social media application Oui. We also tested the application Oui itself. Now, our team during our assessment determined that the overall infrastructure supporting the social media application was pretty secure. However, the application itself is in a critical security situation. During our engagement, we were able to compromise the data of over 1,000 users. What does this mean for Oui Croissant? Well, our findings show that Oui Croissant may experience application downtime with Oui. We may have severe reputation damage to your business, and there could be severe financial loss. Our team uses the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, CVSS, a standard made by NIST. During our engagement, we found 20 vulnerabilities. We focus on the impact and the likelihood of these vulnerabilities. Of those vulnerabilities, 7 were old from our past test, unremediated. And now I'm passing off to Bryce.
Thank you, Brett. AI was a major portion of this engagement, and so we looked into 2 different components that were found on the engagement. First being prompt injection with Scale AI. There were 7 AIs being hosted. Of those, we only broke into 2 of them. The first being a password manager, where we were able to get credentials that further compromised. And the second being an AI where we convinced it that our human input was actually an Android's input. Then we worked with Scam Guardian AI, and there we were able to successfully write a prompt for an AI that would impersonate Jamie Thompson, that would call Oui Croissant's help desk, and from there we were able to successfully use this AI to impersonate Jamie Thompson, reset their password, and we highly recommend that you use this for training your IT help desk for the purposes of training them on AI phishing dangers. Now onto our methodology and how we come to the finding scorings that we came to. So first, with all of our engagements, we define out our scope, what's allowed, what's not allowed. We then work with our team to go and find technologies that are on the network or applications. We exploit them. We write up a nice detailed report of all our findings with recommendations that go alongside them. And then we open ourselves to retesting and send the report out to all of you. Now, on to Parker.
Thank you, Bryce. All right, now we would like to highlight some of the key things that we look for in the vulnerabilities that we discover on your systems. The first of which being the severity. What is the impact, what is the risk to the systems of Oui Croissant? The second being the degree of exposure. Is this vulnerability exposed to the public internet? Is it something that is only available from the inside of the network of the Active Directory systems? The third of which being the ease of exploitation. How much technical knowledge does an attacker need to exploit this vulnerability? How much prior knowledge do they need? Do they need having requirements for this vulnerability, such as credentials or authentication to a certain system? The fourth of which being the business impact. What is the impact to Oui Croissant or the Oui social media application that derives from exploiting this vulnerability? The fifth is the effort to fix. How much effort is the IT team of Oui Croissant going to expend in remediating this vulnerability, and how might we make that process easier? And the sixth and last being the technical impact. What might an adversary against Oui Croissant gain from exploiting this vulnerability? Do they gain access to further systems? Do they compromise the domain controller? Do they get access into users' customer data or personally identifiable information, and things of that nature? And we would also like to briefly cover the 3 main objectives of our engagement against Oui Croissant as per the VSA and client communications. The first and most important of which being to be evaluating the product security and overall readiness for launch. Now through our assessment, we do recommend that this product not launch until many of the vulnerabilities are remediated. Our second objective was to retest the previous observations that we found during our prior penetration testing engagement against Oui Croissant, and our third being to assess the overall security posture of Oui Croissant as a company, and that's included with the AI prompt injections and other security assessments. Now, off to Nathan.
Thank you. And now we're going to talk about some key strengths and weaknesses that we discovered during our engagement. So one of the major key strengths that was noticed was the remediation of past observations that were previously disclosed. In fact, over 50% of the vulnerabilities that we came into test, we were unable to recreate. The next thing was the hardening of Active Directory itself. We were actually unable to get substantial access into the environment, which shows an amazing effort to securing your environment. We also had an amazing level of incident response, primarily in network traffic, as you guys were able to catch several instances of our traffic, our events that we created, and able to talk to us about this to figure out more details. But now moving on to some of the security flaws. On the Y application, there's a potential denial of service, where the internal server will spit out all the internal server errors to all of the users on the application whenever anyone tries to search through any of the directories on said application. There's also an unauthenticated SMTP relay, or the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, where attackers are able to use the Outlook web application server that you have set up to send emails to everyone that has a valid email address and attach any file that they would like to. This opens up a vector for potential phishing attacks. There's also unauthenticated user management access, where attackers are able to edit, exfiltrate all user data on the Y application, as well as ban users, resulting in denial of service for those users on your application. And now on to Dylan with some recommendations.
Thank you, Nathan. So right now we're going to go over some recommendations on what to do about those key flaws. First is to disable error broadcasting or rate limit requests users can make. This will mitigate the DOS attacks that you might see on the Y application. Make sure to require any authentication for the SMTP relay server. This will help stop attackers from just sending emails to whoever in your network. If they do have the option to send emails, this could corrupt infrastructure, affect employees, and also business operations. 3 and 4 are kind of under the same umbrella. We found 2 ways that we could modify user information on the Y application as well as ban users. Bottom line is this: if users are experiencing problems on your web app, nobody's going to want to use it. And what makes it even worse is that they're going to be looking to your competitors for social media application usage. And just to recap what we found 20 discovered vulnerabilities in your infrastructure. We also made you aware of critical vulnerabilities that are going to halt the launch of your product. And last but not least, we made recommendations on how to fix such vulnerabilities. I'll pass it off to Caleb.
Once again, thank you for your time. More details can be found in a report provided to Oui Croissant, but now we'd like to open up to any questions that you all might have.
Yeah, very good, thank you. It's really solid. So what, my team has been encouraging us to kind of really adopt and move towards a zero trust approach, and I wonder if you think that's consistent with your recommendations.
Yeah, generally we recommend a zero trust architecture. The general reason behind that is that with an extended cloud attack surface through cloud infrastructure, the best point of attack is to assume that an attacker may already be in your infrastructure. So having a zero trust framework would restrict the impact of an attacker on your systems, preventing pivoting across different systems, and as such. It is difficult to implement. It can be harder for your users. We generally recommend, especially in terms of how large your organization is and what kind of threats you might face.
Okay, cool. And then also on kind of evaluating the various risks that you guys ran across and the residual risk associated with them. I mean, have you looked at any of the emerging quantitative models to measure that risk, such as OpenFair?
Generally, we do. It's set by different models. We abide by the CVSS score. First of all, because of it's a NIST framework, which we believe allows us to, across our approach, have a consistent standard across. That's acceptable because it's an industry recognized standard that allows us to categorize different areas. Different